The military history of the United States. When power does not begin with weapons. The military history of the United States, if you only look at aircraft carriers, defense budgets, or the wars it has fought, then you are looking at it wrong. Because America's real power does not begin with weapons. It begins with a question. What does a nation need a military for? 1. A republic that feared its own power. The United States was born from war. But the paradox is, the very people who founded this nation were the most wary of military power. They had just escaped the rule of an empire. In their memory, the military did not only protect a nation, it could also suffocate freedom. So the biggest question at the founding was not, how do we become stronger? But, how do we become strong enough without turning into tyranny ourselves? That was a very real fear. And from that fear, a principle was born. The military must be subordinate to civilian authority. The power of arms must lie beneath the Constitution. The person who embodied this most clearly was the first commander-in-chief. After victory, he had everything: power, fame, the loyalty of his soldiers. He could have become a king, but he did the opposite. He gave up power, returned to civilian life. That moment was not just a personal act. It was a declaration to the world. In the United States, the military will never stand above the Republic. Number 2. When a nation begins to swallow a continent, the 19th century, America was no longer fragile. It expanded, relentlessly, to the west, across land, toward power, and as space changed, military thinking changed with it. The military was no longer just for defense. It became a tool to secure borders, protect territory, and more importantly, expand the nation's living space. This was when geopolitics began to enter American military thinking. A new realization emerged. It is not enough to defend the country, one must also defend the strategic environment around it. The Western Hemisphere had to be a backyard, not for European empires, not for any other power. This was the first time America said, there are spaces we will not allow others to enter. Number 3, Civil War, a test of survival. Then an even bigger question emerged. Would the United States survive as a nation or fall apart? The Civil War was not just a war, it was the ultimate test of the Republic. And here, the role of the military changed again, no longer just protecting freedom, but saving the very existence of the nation. If it failed, the United States would cease to exist. No superpower, no order, no future, just a divided land. 4. When America looked to the sea, late 19th century, a revolutionary idea appeared. Power does not lie on land, power lies at sea. Trade is the lifeblood of a nation, and the Navy protects that lifeblood. From here, American thinking took another step, not just defending the nation, not just defending land, but protecting the roots through which economic power flows. This was the shift from a continental power to one beginning to look outward. How 5. 2 world wars, the collapse of illusion. For a long time, America believed it could stay out of European conflicts. Distance was a shield, 2 oceans were barriers, but the 20th century destroyed that belief. Modern war has no borders. If a power controls Europe or Asia, sooner or later, it will reach America. And then a cold realization emerged. America's security no longer lies within its borders. It lies in the global balance of power, trade routes, and the fate of regions thousands of kilometers away. Number 6, the Cold War, when power is not meant to be used. This was the greatest turning point. Nuclear weapons appeared. War meant destruction. And for the first time in history, the goal of the military was no longer victory, but to prevent war from happening. This is the core paradox of American power. The strongest military in the world, but its most important mission is to ensure the enemy never dares to fire. Deterrence became an art. Fear became a tool. Balance became the objective. Number 7, the Pentagon, the brain of power. 1941, a building was constructed, not for beauty, not for symbolism, but to solve a problem. How do you manage global war? The Pentagon was born, and from that moment, war was no longer a reaction. It became something that is simulated, forecasted, planned years in advance. Here, the world is no longer a map. It is a chessboard, each region a strategic variable. Number 8, when the United States became the architect of order. After World War II, a massive power vacuum appeared, and America realized something. If it did not step in, someone else would, and the world order would not stabilize. From here, a new role emerged, not just a great power, but an organizer of order. It built alliances, bases, a global security system. not to rule the world like a traditional empire, but to shape the rules of the game. Number 9. Real power, not war. From the outside, you see aircraft carriers, missiles, military bases, but at a deeper level, American power is the ability to appear at the right time, in the right place, with the right message. A deployed force is not just a military unit, it is a statement. We are here, we have interests here, and we are ready to act. Number 10. The final paradox. For more than 70 years, the world has not seen total war between great powers, not because humanity became better, but because the cost of war became too high, and that very system of power made war the worst possible option. Conclusion. The Pentagon is not where wars are created, it is where wars are prevented, shaped, and if unavoidable, ended as quickly as possible. That is the true nature. A brain that does not only think about victory, but about how to keep the world from collapsing. And that is also the most uncomfortable truth about power. Peace does not exist by goodwill alone. It exists because there is power strong enough to protect it.